ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। Namaste. We will now see the meaning of the namas of the 14th verse in Shri Vishnu Sahasranama. The 14th verse is like this. Sarvaga Sarvavidbhanur Vishwakseno Janardanaha Vedo Vedavidavyango Vedango Vedavit Kavihi. The namas in this verse are as follows. This is according to the Shankara Bhashya. Sarvagaha Sarvavidbhanuhu Vishwaksenaha Janardanaha Vedaha Vedavit Avyangaha Vedangaha Vedavit Kavihi. So we have 10 namas in this verse. The first nama is Sarvagaha. Sarvatra gacchati iti Sarvagaha. Karanatvena vyaptatvat Sarvatra. The one who is present in everything, being the cause of everything, he permeates everything. So, though here the verb is gacchati, to go, but still by looking at the bhashya, we understand that sarvatra gacchati, sarvatra vyaptaha bhavati. So being the cause, he is present everywhere. It was explained previously that he is Vishwaretaha, Vishwayonihi. He is the cause of everything. And as per the cause effect connection, so the cause permeates its effect. So the cause can be felt in the effect. So all this is the effect of Paramatman, and hence he is present in all this created universe. So that is the meaning of the term Sarvagaha, being the cause of everything. He is felt in everything, or he exists in everything. He is present in everything. The second term is Sarvavidbhanuhu. Sarvam Veti Vindati va Sarvavit Bhatiti Bhanuhu. Sarvavichasau Bhanushcheti Sarvavidbhanuhu. The one who knows or attains everything is Sarvavit. The one that shines forth is Bhanu. Hence, the all-knowing, all-attaining, luminous entity is Sarvavid Bhanu. So this explanation, the Bhashya itself is self-explanatory. Sarva, Vid, Bhanu are the three components. Sarva is everything, and Vit has been given two meanings, Veti and Vindati. Veti means knows, or Vindati means attains. So the one who knows everything or who attains everything, so the one to whom nothing is unattainable. So he is Paramatman. That is the meaning of the component Sarvavit. And Bhanu. And Bhanu normally means the sun. And what is the meaning of the term Bhanu? Bhati iti Bhanu. So the one who shines forth is Bhanu. Hence the consolidated meaning of all the components of the term means the lustrous, the luminous, the shining, all-knowing, all-attaining entity, conscious entity is Paramatman. That is the meaning of the term Sarvavid Bhanu. Now, describing the term or describing Paramatman as Bhanu is well known in the Upanishads also. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. So he is the highest luminous entity. Natatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. So the Paramatman is the one who is the true lustrous luminous entity. It is his light of consciousness which is borrowed by all other luminous entities including the sun, moon, star, fire, etc., and they shine forth. So the Paramatman is Bhanu, the ultimate shining entity. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, we see the same description of Paramatman being described as luminous. Yadadityagatam tejaha jagad bhasayate khilam yat chandramasi yachagnav tat tejo vidhi mamakam. All the light, all the luminosity, all the luster that is seen in the sun and the moon and the stars, everything is the tejas or the light from the Paramatman himself. So that is provided. These two quotations or references are provided by Acharya to bring to light or present an authority to the interpretation of the term Bhanu. Now we move to the third term, Vishvaksena. Vishvak anchati palayate daityasena yasya ranodyogamatreena iti Vishvaksena. This is very interesting. The army of the evil or the negative gets scattered by the mere intent to fight, of whom is Vishvaksena. When the Paramatma in his various avatars, if he does the sankalpa that yes, I'm going to destroy this evil, this negativity, this demon, this Rakshasa, then the negative forces, they become restless. In the Ramayana, we see that in the conversation with the Ravana, Maricha, the Rakshasa, says, the mere name of Rama creates or gives me sleepless nights. Even all the words beginning with the letter Ra makes me restless. That's what Maricha, the Rakshasa, says. And even in the Bhagavata, we see Kamsa is unable to sleep, becomes restless on knowing that the eighth son of Devaki is born somewhere. So, by the mere avatara of Bhagavan, all the negative forces, they become scattered, they become restless, or they become weak. So, he is Vishvaksena. The next term is Janardanaha. Janan Durjanan Ardayati Hinasti Narakadin Gamayati Tiva Janardanaha. the one who harms the bad and sends to hell. He is Janardana. So previously we saw Vishwaksena. By the mere intent to destroy the evil forces get scattered into all directions. So here the actual act of punishment to the negative forces is conveyed by the term Janardana. Ardayati hinasti. Ardayati means the one who harms, who punishes. Whom? Janan, people. What kind of people? Durjanan, the bad people. So those who are fallen into wrong ways. So the one who harms, who punishes those bad people, he is Jana Ardana, or the one who sends them, those people with negative intentions and negative harmful actions, to Naraka. So he is Janardana. Now, in this context, one might ask, whom do we call as a negative person or a bad person? To this, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has given a clue or an indication or a teaching. In the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we see that Trividham Narakasyedam Dwaram Nashanam Atmanaha Kamah Krodhas Tatha Lobhaha Tasmad Etat Tyajet. So three are the pathways to hell. Trividham Narakasya Dwaram. What are the three? Kamaha, Krodhaha, Lobhaha. Desire, anger, and greed. Tasmat Trayam Tyajet. Hence, these three are to be gradually overcome. But a person who falls into the trap of these three are led to the gates of Naraka. That's what Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. Only such people are punished by Janardana. This is the first interpretation. The second interpretation, Janaihi Purushartham Abhyudaya Nishreyasa Lakshanam Yachyate iti Janardanaha. This is an entirely different meaning from the previous one. The one who is sought by people to attain material well-being and liberation, he is Janardana. So here also the two components, Jana Ardana. Ardana here means Yachana, means seeking, and Jana, people. So people seek from him, the Paramatman. What do people seek or ask from the Paramatman? Acharya explains, Abhyudaya Nishreyasa Lakshanam Purushartham. They ask for two kinds of Purusharthas, two kinds of goals to be attained by human beings, Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa. So we see Bhaktas asking for Abhyudaya, welfare, well-being, that is Abhyudaya, and Nishreyasa means spiritual realization, moksha, liberation. So the one to whom people surrender, the one from whom people ask, Ardana, both Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa, he is Janardana. We see in the Bhagavad Gita also, Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna artaha jijnasuhu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. So artaha and artharthi, those who are suffering from ailments and those who are in need of money, they can be classified as abhyudayarthis, those who seek well-being in the material sense, and jignasu and jnani can be categorized under nishreyasa. So they seek greater well-being in the form of liberation. So the one from whom people seek Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa. He is Janardana. The fifth term is Vedaha. Vedayati iti Vedaha. The one who makes the devotees know is Veda. So, this is a very beautiful interpretation or explanation to the term Veda. So, we previously saw that people seek by surrendering to Paramatman, they ask for material and spiritual well-being. So, spiritually, when they seek pure true knowledge, he, in the form of knowledge, it is he who is present in us, who dispels ignorance and leads us to the state of liberation and self-realization. So Paramatman is the one who makes us know, Vedayati, by being the knowledge, being the light of knowledge. He is the one who throws a light on our true nature by dispelling the darkness caused by ignorance. So the knowledge itself is Paramatman. Acharya quotes from Bhagavad Gita to clarify the meaning. Acharya says, Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayam yatma bhavasthaha jnanadipena bhasvata. So being present in the heart of every being as the light of knowledge, Jnanadeepa, by the glorious luminous light of knowledge, by being that, Paramatman dispels Ajnanaja Tamas, the ignorance, the darkness, the lack of understanding about one's own self. So that is driven off the knowledge itself. By being the knowledge itself about the pure consciousness, Paramatman leads us to self-realization. So that is the meaning of the term Vedaha. The sixth term is Vedavit. Yathavat Vedartham Vettiti Vedavit. The one who knows the meaning of the Vedas as it is Vedavit. The one who possesses, because of the depth of the Vedic knowledge, it is the Paramatman who can fathom the greatness of or the depth of the Vedic lore, and hence whoever desires to attain the knowledge of Vedas in great depth, not mere learning, not mere study, not mere swadhyaya, not mere looking into the various texts and commentaries, will serve by surrender, by salutations to the Paramatman. The great depths of meanings of the Vedic knowledge will be revealed, because the Paramatman is the one who knows the real intent of the Vedas. So that's why great acharyas, they say that swadhyaya with anusthana, that is study of the shastras, and also the great devotion, surrender to the Paramatman, that is what will lead us to the true essence or the true sense or the true knowledge of the Vedas. And hence Paramatman here is described as Vedavit, the one who really knows the meaning of the Vedas. To this, Acharya quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. I am the one who created the Vedanta, and I am the Vedavit. Sarve Vedaha Sarva Vidyaha Sa Shastraha सर्वे यज्ञाः सर्व यज्ञाश्च कृष्णः विदुः कृष्णं ब्राह्मणास्तत्त्वतो ये तेषां राजन् सर्वयज्ञाः समाप्ताः. This is a glorious verse from Mahabharata, again quoted by Acharya to indicate that yajna, shastras, the vidyas, all these, they attain their completeness by the knowledge of the Paramatman, by the knowledge of Krishna, by surrendering to Krishna. Of course, learning various shastras, various vidyas, the intricacies of performing various yajnas, they are important. They are to be learned. But along with that, the knowledge of Krishna, the knowledge or the bhakti and the surrender to Krishna, that is also essential. So by that, everything becomes complete. Sarva yajnaha samaptaha. So those who know or those who have this nature of surrendering to the Paramatman also, along with their knowledge of the Shastras, for them everything attains completeness. So that is the depth of the meaning of the term Vedavid. The next term is Avyangah. Avyangah jnanadibhihi paripurnaha avikalaha uchyate. The one who is not impaired, the one who is complete, the one who is full with knowledge and other virtues is Avyanga. So here also Avyanga are the two components. Vyanga, impaired, incomplete. Avyanga, not impaired, complete, full. So paripurna. So jnana, aishwarya, bala, virya, shakti. So Paramatman is the one who is complete with all these qualities. Avikala, who is not impaired and who is complete. Purnamadah, Purnamidam. So the one who is described by this verse. So the complete being is Avyanga, and that is Paramatman. It is by meditating upon such Paramatman, we are also led to our completeness or fulfillment of life goals. There is another interpretation to the term Avyanga. We see Vyangaha Vyaktihi Navidyate iti va Avyangaha. Vyanga means Vyakti, means manifestation. Abhivyakti, manifestation. The one who is not manifest, the one who is subtle, the one who is difficult to grasp, he is Avyanga. Previously also, while describing, we see that Paramatman is Aprameya, Agrahya. He is not perceived by Jnanendriyas. He is not graspable by the Karmendriyas. So the same sense is repeated here. He is Avyanga. He is not manifest. To whom? The one those whose minds are distracted. Those who are not focused, or those who have not surrendered, those who are not endowed with the bhakti bhavana, for them he is not manifest, he is not graspable. But those who are endowed, or those who develop single pointed focus and devotion, to them he shows himself, he does the prakatana of himself, he becomes manifest. So this is the meaning of the term Avyanga. The same is again presented in the Bhagavad Gita also, the authority to it, Avyaktoham, Achintyoham. So in this way, the term Avyanga is explained. The next term is Vedanga. Vedaha angabhutaha yasya saha Vedanga. The one to whom the Vedas are the limbs. He is Vedanga. Veda, the Vedas. Anga, the limbs. So the Vedas are the limbs to whom is Vedanga. This again is very significant that all knowledge should lead to realization. All knowledge should contribute towards the understanding of the Paramatman or the realization of Paramatman. So, because all the knowledge are but the limbs of Paramatman, they have to point to the soul, that is the Narayana. So only then the knowledge learnt through all the Vedic Shastric lore becomes or serve the purpose for which they exist. That's why we hear Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. Knowledge for its own self, it may not serve the ultimate purpose. That knowledge which leads to liberation by helping us reach the God consciousness. So that is the liberating knowledge, and that is described or subtly indicated by this interpretation Vedanga, or this term Vedanga. The goal of all Vedic learning is the realization of the Paramatman. The ninth term is Vedavit. Vedan Vinte Vicharayati Tiva Vedavit. The one who contemplates upon the Vedas. So, this is again an interesting nama which is worth thinking about. So we see in this era that the Vedas are being chanted, but their meaning seldom it is being looked into. Here the Bhagavan himself is described as the one who is immersed in the contemplation of the meaning of the Vedas. Hence, we see that the learning of the Vedas and also realizing the meaning or thinking over, reflecting, contemplating upon the meaning, that is also essential. For that, the role model is Bhagavan himself, who is described as the one who is immersed in the contemplation of the meaning of the Vedas. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, we see that Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. There, when the term Vedavit is explained in the Bhashya, we see that the word Vedavit is explained as Vedarthavit, the one who knows or the one who is contemplating upon the meaning of the Vedas. So, that idea, the idea that the chanting of the Vedas and the realization of the meaning of the mantras, Vedic mantras, is essential. So that is brought about by the term Vedavit. The next term is Kavihi. Krantadarshi Kavihi. Sarvadrik. So the one who sees beyond is Kavi, the one who sees everything. So the beautiful term Kavi, Kavi in Sanskrita not only means a poet. Kavi means the one who is a Krantadarshi. Even a poet raises above and sees, visualizes things. Here in the context of Paramatman, we see that being not limited by the time, he sees everything, the past, present, and the future. Hence, Paramatman himself is celebrated as Kavi. In the Vedas, the rishis themselves are called as Kavi. So Krantadarshi, those who see beyond, and see everything. Sarvadrik is Kavihi. So to this, we see that there are various quotations from the mantras, the Vedic literature that is presented by Acharya to indicate that the Paramatman is Kavi, Krantadarshi, Nanyo Tosti Drashta. There is no better seer than the Paramatman himself. Kavir Manishi in the Ishavasya Upanishad. So with this 10 namas in the 14th verse of Vishnu Sahasranama, we have completed 133 names of Bhagavan Narayana. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.